Good evening, golfers, friends and family of the Lion Golf Academy, and our guests. We have with us 3 videos today, and these 3 videos were submitted to us by our Reddit post. And what we do is, once a week we're going to try and do this, maybe once every other day if we get it, a lot of people request this, is we just randomly take 3 videos that are sent to us and we post it up in a kind of, we take a look at the swing and see what we would work on if we were with them. Now, keep in mind, I don't know these students at all. I've never met them. I don't know their abilities. I don't know their history. I haven't done a TPI range of motion testing on them. I don't know their work-life relationship. I don't know how much time they can practice, so I don't know a lot. So I would never make these swing changes that I would recommend unless I know my students and their abilities and their history and their injuries and the range of motion. So keep that in mind. So if you hear what I'm saying and you're a student and this is actually your video, please don't start addressing this unless you're with a professional or a coach that he or she may see something completely different than I do. So just take this as a pure grain of salt, conversation piece, something to look at for education purposes only. So just put that disclaimer there. I don't want to have to start receiving emails saying, "Hey man, I tried your stuff and I couldn't hit a golf ball for months and I broke my finger." So just keep that in mind. But with that said, this comes from a good place. So let's take a look at these videos. I've never seen these videos before. I just kind of put them on my software here. Okay, some hip sliding going on there. Okay, pretty athletic. I'm wondering if you play some other sports. I mean, you do have pretty good hand-eye coordination. That's another thing too. I don't know how long these students have been playing. I don't know anything about their game, so I'm just assuming a lot when I do these diagnoses. So, okay. All right, I've seen enough. So basically, if I need to draw lines, I'll draw lines, but this is more of a visual thing for me. So, the takeaways, what I'm looking for, so you know how my swing thought is going right now. Excuse me, how my teaching brain is working now. I'm looking from the ground up. So I look at the footwork, I look at knee work, hip work, shoulder work. And then I look at the extremities, and if I see something strange in the extremities, meaning the arms and the hands, I just go straight to the cause. What's causing that to happen? If it looks unique, something's happening in the swing. Just for reference, the backswing from start to here is roughly 0.9 seconds. From here to here is 0.1 seconds. So whatever damage you guys are doing, and I mean damage meaning out of position, you have to reconnect in 1/8 or 1/9 of the time. So that's what I'm looking for. Basically what I see here, I see some turn. I see, if I can get you to stop your turn right about there, you still have plenty of shoulder turn. This hip looks like it's moving over to the right instead of kind of turning, which is causing you to kind of get your left hip to tip down, which is a left hip tilt, which causes your upper body to start rocking towards the target here. So you can see if I move it back a little bit further, you can see right there, you can see how that upper body kind of rocks back and starts facing the, leaning towards the target. Right hip is shooting underneath. So basically what you're doing is you are taking your hip tilt about here, and your spine is going to sit on that hip tilt, wherever that hip tilt's pointing. Not an optimal position to start from unless you're doing stack and tilt. So this is another thing I don't know. I mean, maybe you are trying to do stack and tilt, and maybe this is something you're trying to accomplish. And if that's the case, then I wouldn't be, we'd have to address that in person. But again, I'm just assuming you're trying to do it at a, quote unquote traditional motion. Because of that, tilting the wrong way, you can't really drive the hips first. You're just trying to get yourself back to being, stable. You can see how you're trying to get your tilt back under you, so you're kind of rocking back and forth, which is very stack and tilt like. Stack and tilt is moving that lower axis point back and forth instead of rotating around a solid axis point. And as a result, your hands have to flip a little bit more. You can't really get that power through with the lower body in time. Eventually you do. So right here is where you need to be just past impact, is where you need to be probably about here. So you get there eventually. Your hands have to do a little bit of the work. You can see they really come across and finish a wrap around your body, because that's momentum taking your arms and hands all the way back. You can see. So, all in all, I mean, you look very athletic. You look like you can get away with a lot, which is a good thing, because swings can't be perfect all the time. So the more athletic you are, the more you can get away with stuff. But let's look at the back view. All right, so down the line. So initially, I don't really see those legs supporting the hips. So the back of your heel straight up, it looks like it's a little, you know, it doesn't look like it's supporting a majority of your hips. So I definitely think getting some of that weighting moving forward, so it's kind of supporting kind of the front portion of your shin, or maybe down even, you know, some people call that the balls of the feet or the toes, or that area where the crosshair is. That, you know, one thing I would do is change that setup. As you take that club back, you know, from this point of view, you did a really good job of keeping that club square to your spine angle, so that's awesome. Top of the, you can see that right hip, his right hip's kind of pushing out right there. From here to here, you can see it's still pushing out. So look at your knees are getting closer to the camera angle. So I'd see a lot of your weight is pushing out to that outside of the heel or the outside of the right foot. Not very optimal to push back into the target. You know, you want that weight more on the inside of your foot. From here, you try your best. You know, you can start to see a little bit of standing up here. You know, that's probably to right your hips, trying to get the right shoulder under. Yeah, so again, you do a really good job of getting it done from that position. So, you know, you can see here, that club is just following that path. Club's a little bit open at that point. Strike it. A little bit closed there. So you do a good job. I mean, all in all, it's a pretty solid motion. I think to get you to the next level, if you and I were starting to work together, and obviously you're in a winter area with a lot of dead trees, and I'm in the desert, so unless I want to commute, you know, some 20 hours by bus, which I don't really want to, if this was you and I'd really be working on your setup and your initial takeaway, you know, learning how to get some good stress in your body. In other words, how to lock your body from getting away from you. We don't need a lot of turn that you have. We need to just get more grounded. But take that with a grain of salt. All in all, pretty solid move. Go see a coach. You know, go see a PGA coach that can really help you out. They might see something completely different that resonates with you more. But let's go to the next one. All right, so here we go. Now, granted, this is a vertical shot, and it's a small video inside the vertical shot. So if you're watching this on a phone, it's going to be really hard to see what's going on. But I'll do my best. Thank you for the video, by the way. I know that this is all we need, basically. Okay, I want to watch this in full speed. Okay, looks pretty strong. I mean, you look like a strong individual. You know, again, a lot of instability issues. You know, your center of gravity is all over the place. You can almost see you lose your balance at the very end. If that video kept going, you probably have to pull your right foot underneath you to stop you from falling. So a lot of that is caused by, you know, I think that setup is too far away from the ball. You have a lot of posture issues because it's too far away from the ball. You're struggling between, you know, what do I do? Stay down and tilt around my spine angle, or do I need to stand up? So let me show you what I mean from this point. It might make more sense. So if we go to the spine angle line, you know, that's pretty steep for a driver. You can see you're reaching for it. The arms aren't really relaxed. So I think a little bit taller, you know, definitely relieve some stress on the lower back, because the idea is to be in a tilt now. So your shoulder tilt should be matching that at the start of the position, and even more so as you strike the golf ball. Now, in order to get more with that setup, I mean, you're gonna have to do a lot of contortion work, and that lower body is not designed to do that. You know, the lower lumbar region only turns about 20 degrees either side, where the upper body, the thoracic, turns, you know, 40, 50, 60, even up to 80 degrees. So that's where a lot of the turn has to come from. The lower body is just there to support the upper body's turn. And I'm talking about the lower body of the back instead of the upper body. But let's take a look what happens. Okay, you take that club back, you're trying to get to that tilt. So you do it, you know, you do a fairly good job. Actually, let me make sure these stay there. Sorry, I forgot I'm on a different system here. Okay, so you do a pretty good job of holding that tilt. You can see that left shoulder, it kind of raises up a little bit, trying to get to normal. But you can see already you're getting on you're shifting towards your toes here. So there, you can start to see standing up already. You've already lost spine angle. Now it's just a game of standing up, trying your best to reach for that golf ball. So there's your impact position. Look how much spine angle you've lost. I mean, that upper body's standing straight up. So definitely need to work on your posture maintaining. You still do a good job of tilting around that though. So I would imagine that maybe, you know, some days your back might not be feeling so good. You can see a lot of rotation is needed to save that golf swing. Look at that right foot. You know, that hurts my right ankle looking at that. Okay, so let's look for the front. Might make more sense there too. All right, front view. Let's take a look at this full swing, full motion. Okay, again, I mean, you seem like a very athletic individual. You know, seem pretty strong, so you can get away with a lot more as well for your strength. But I think you're losing a lot of power. You know, that just looks, the sequencing looks a little off, and plus just that loss of balance. Okay, let's see what we can do here. All right. Okay, you see daylight in the hands. Decent takeaway. Definitely loading up right there. So from this point to this point, you know, you can see that upper body, kind of like the video before. You know, you don't need that big of a wind up. Look at the upper body, it's leading towards the target at this point. Now your upper body is like leaning into the shot, and now your lower body is saying, oh, I got to do something to catch up. But at this point, look how far ahead that left knee is before you even hit the golf ball. So your left knee's met that impact line. You know, it should be a tie between your left knee and your hip. And that is really going to help you push that left hip into the target, which will then tilt you underneath, which will require less arms and hands trying to get back to the front of the golf ball, because the more you tilt, the more your hands push out in front naturally, which then you'll be actually swinging on the upswing. So I'd imagine your launch data metric numbers, you know, just by taking a look at this, I think that you know, definitely hit on a descending blow here. It's hard to tell because it's just so hazy, but you get there eventually. But it's all led by that left knee too soon. You should be there already. As you strike the golf ball, now it's just all hands. I mean, you can see from here to here, very flippy. That's just disconnected. So the length of your arm motion disconnected. You don't have enough time to reconnect, so you're slapping at the golf ball. I bet you still hit it pretty hard, but man, if you can connect yourself and if you can stay grounded and really stay connected to the ground, I would imagine you can get 20, 30 yards fairly soon if you focus on the stability and a better posture at impact. Just give me an address to help you be in a better posture at impact. But again, it takes work. You know, I don't know how long you've been playing golf, but the more you play, the harder it is to retrain yourself. But you know, my suggestion is always, is you've got to go get professional help. You can't do this alone. Even myself, you know, every golfer, every teaching pro always has another teaching pro to help them out. You know, feel isn't real, so that's my suggestion. But you know, you've got a pretty solid foundation to work on, and you're a strong individual, so you're blessed for that. All right, next video. All right, this is the last video of today. Okay, good looking setup. Let's take a look at the motion. Okay, so without slowing it down, you know, it looks pretty solid. Now, this is where cameras really help you. Back in the day when I was first instructing, we didn't have cameras, so we'd have to like catch the reflection of the golf shaft on the downswing with the sun. And then we had the old cameras, like the movie theater guys walking around like a news crew. So I'm so blessed that we have iPhones, we can do this. Okay, so already, you know, this is a lot of unnecessary motion. And if you eliminate a lot of this unnecessary motion, I believe you'd be a really good ball striker. Clearly you have good hand-eye coordination. Takeaway here, you know, pretty good one-piece takeaway. Arms kind of get disconnected at this point. You know, if you can take your backswing and just stop it honestly right there, that's all you need. You don't need, like, that to me is perfect. You can even turn less if you want to get your arms to go back up. But that right there, you know, that's optimal. You know, I'd also work on, you know, you can see the weight going towards the outside of your heel. Again, it should be on the inside of your heel, so you can push up into the left lead shoulder as you strike the ball. But you know, as a starting point. I mean, look at all that unnecessary motion. And again, that unnecessary motion, what does that do to your upper body? You start leaning back, so now your momentum's the wrong way. Now you're too busy trying to reconnect. So you try to get all the weight over to your left side, but look at that right foot. I mean, the right foot doesn't have much to push on because all the weight is on the outside. So it can't really push. It like slides and it doesn't have much there. When it slides, it starts standing up, and as a result, you flip at the golf ball. You've disconnected because here, your arms should really be in a triangle to the center of your chest. So if I draw your, you know, there's your, man, this mouse. Your arms should basically be there. Excuse me, your hand. So your hand should already be at this point. So you can see how much behind the 8-ball it is. It's a full, you know, 2 hand widths behind where it should be. And because it's not there yet, what do you think has to happen? You know, there's only one option for you to hit that golf ball, is to try and get your hands to flip, and they do that. And there's that flip, you know, losing a lot of power. And there's the release. So I mean, you do a really good job. I mean, your swing is pretty solid from this point of view. It's just overworked. You know, you don't need a lot of effort. And effort, I mean by the turn. Okay, let's go to the side. Okay, let's watch this back one before. Okay, yeah, you can see that. So the length of the swing really throws them off a little bit. Okay, so again, pretty good setup. I mean, it's pretty solid, pretty square. You know, nothing crazy here. Takeaway, arms maybe should go more inside. Club path goes inside, so you know, it's okay. You can get away with that. But right there is where you need to stop your motion. If you can keep your club face more connected to your hands at this point, so you don't start, you know, laying it off, and you get your arms to about there, you'd be looking pretty solid. From here, you can just pull the golf ball down, pull the golf club down as you turn. But from here, look at all that. So you go from here to here. I mean, we're just gonna go back and forth. You don't see much body, right? The body's already set. The rest is just, how can I get this in my downswing? So this looks familiar, right? That doesn't look like casting that we're used to seeing. Of course it's going to cast because it has to get back to that position. So this is your detriment, and you'll see that action here. Boom, there's that catch up. And because you start standing up, there's absolutely no room for your arms and hands to go under. You're not tilting your shoulders. Everything's crashing into the golf ball. You're very hunched into it. And as a result, you have to flip your hands, causing a pretty solid outside-in motion. And I would imagine you pull your wedges, 9-irons, and you probably mega pull the driver or big-time fade slice action with the occasional rope hook. So, you know, my advice, just definitely work on centeredness. Watch that weight shift on the right side. Try not to get it out to the right foot, more like inside the right foot. And definitely, you know, you don't need that. Right there is good. And just pull down. That's what it should look like. Bam, bam. That's when you go down, right? That's basically backswing, downswing, backswing, downswing. But now you got backswing, downswing. All right, guys. So hopefully that helps you, the 3 gentlemen in this video. Again, take it with a grain of salt. It's just my opinion. My opinions aren't set in stone. I don't know who you are. I don't know your range of motion, nothing like that. It's just a pure visual feedback. Just be careful with advice you get from feedback, as well-meaning as they are. Just like this video, it could be completely wrong for you. So, which is why I say, go to a teaching pro, go to somebody reputable that can really help you, and then make the correct moves, knowing who you are, because you are a tool as well. Your body is a tool, and we have to know how to use your body correctly. And if your specific tool cannot physically get in these positions, there's no way to expect you to do that. So we have to work around them. But thanks a lot. If you like this, recommend it to people. You know, I like to do this more and more just to help some people out. But happy day to you. Hope you guys play some golf soon. I know it looks like winter in your videos. I'm so happy we're in SoCal where it's nice and warm. But thanks again. Fairways and greens, everybody.